LA discovered a charming little landmark.
The Pet Cemetery.
Place to bury our pets and remember them. Might seem scary, but it's not. Perfectly natural. Just like dying is natural.
The whole town's been using this place for generations. Folks make a kind of ritual out of it.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, it is time to introduce the person you've all been waiting for, the greatest critic of all time, the most knowledgeable of films that you will ever meet, and it is time to introduce this person, the greatest critic of all time, and his name is Kid Critic!
Oh, thank you. You guys are far too kind. I know. I am the world's greatest reviewer. So anyways, if you guys haven't noticed, we are back in the Bat Cave where Kid Critic belongs. And, it just feels good. We're back better than ever. So without further ado, let's get down and review this highly anticipated horror film, at least for me. It's not my most anticipated, it still goes to It Chapter 2, but this one was definitely up there. And this is a film that is a remake of an 80s horror film, which was based off of a Stephen King novel that goes by the name of Pet Sematary. And this film is directed by Kevin Colson, Dennis Widmeyer, and it stars Jason Clarke and Amy Smites, and obviously John Lithgow. And this film is about
Dr. Lewis Creed and his wife Rachel relocate from Boston to rural Maine with their 2 young children. The couple soon discover a mysterious burial ground hidden deep in the woods near their new home. When tragedy strikes, Lewis turns to his neighbor, Judd Crandall, setting off a chain reaction that unleashes an unspeakable evil with horrific consequences.
So heading into this movie, I was really hyped to see it because the trailers I thought were awesome. And it just looked like a great horrific time. And coming out of the film, I ended up having a great time with this movie. And the first pro that I had with this film is that I thought the performances were outstanding. Jason Clarke, who I think is a very underrated talent. I thought he was brilliant in this movie. And then as the film goes on and his character progresses in a way that I cannot say because it's a kind of spoilerish, especially if you have not seen the original and if you definitely haven't seen the trailer. I thought the way his character evolved throughout the events that take place in this film was just absolutely haunting. And then Amy Smites as well I thought was amazing in this film. And the person who plays the daughter, who goes by the name of Jet Lawrence, I thought she was fantastic in the film. I thought she made a lot of the horrifying and suspenseful moments just a whole other level. I mean, that goes around with everyone. And then John Lithgow, what do you expect? He is great in this film, as he always is. Now, this film is absolutely haunting and horrifying. It's definitely a horror film. And the whole time you're just biting your teeth, and it's just really suspenseful from the first minute, and it's splendid. It's kind of like how A Quiet Place on literally as soon as the movie starts, it's suspenseful throughout the whole movie. Now, is this movie as good as A Quiet Place? I don't think so, but it's still very suspenseful throughout almost the whole entire movie, and it's definitely just a thrill to go through that first time watching the movie. And the different sounds that they use for the background noise, or when somebody gets injured, it was ooh, there's a lot of that going around during the movie, especially for me. So I'm sorry if you're sitting next to me. And as somebody who does not get scared very easily, I got pretty scared during this movie. I've definitely had some good scary moments that I definitely enjoyed. And that's why we go to horror movies. You get that excitement from all that horrific and suspenseful moments, and it's just a thrill ride. And this film definitely delivers on that. Now, this film definitely has a lot of the same story elements that the original one has from the 80s. I mean, yeah, it definitely changes some things up for sure. So if you like the original, you'll probably have a good time with this one as well. Or even just like the novel, the Stephen King novel, you'll definitely have a great time with this movie. Now, with the cons, well, I'll start off with a little minor one. When they were going in deep into the forest, there's parts like when they were walking and then they show like the background of the forest and they show like thunder and it's all dark. I don't know if it felt green screenish, like it didn't feel real. Now I don't know if it was like an homage to the 80s version, because obviously it doesn't feel real or it doesn't look as realistic as movies do today, obviously, because it was from, I don't know, 30 years ago, more than 30 years ago. And I don't know if it was like an homage to that or it just didn't look very good. And then another con that I had is that I didn't dislike this ending. I thought the ending was okay. And I've seen a lot of horror movies lately. I'm not going to say what the ending is, obviously. And a lot of horror movies lately, they've had a lot of cop-out endings, which sometimes it doesn't really bother me as much. But then the more and more I see, I'm like, it's like I'm getting tired of it. Now I can't go into depth of like what type of endings I'm talking about, or else I was gonna ruin the movie. So I can't really say. But it's like lots of like different cop out endings that I'm just getting tired of, because you just keep on seeing it repeatedly over and over again. And I can say the same thing for a recent film which I also really enjoyed, Us. I also think had a cop out ending, but again I didn't dislike the ending. I just thought it was okay. Could have been better. So with that said, guys, I definitely recommend Pet Sematary, especially if you're a fan of the 80s version or the book or just a horror fan in general. I definitely think you'll have a great time with this movie, just like I did. I thought there were lots of horrifying moments with great performances, and it was really gory as well. There's a couple scenes in particular, especially one in the first act, sort of towards the end of the first act, it was really gory. But I had a great time with this movie. And with that said, guys, don't forget to like and subscribe down below. Also, share a comment of what you thought of Pet Sematary 2019. And with that said, guys, as always, look out for the next video or review. And peace!